see on the internet, but I'll take your word for it, for sure. When it comes to a company like that with $70 billion on the balance sheet, and you have a conversation with the owner, with the founder, what are you talking about? 2% allocation, 5%, 50% allocation? What does that look like?
Yeah, so for them, I would say the bigger the better. I mean, they have the ability to drive as much capital as they want. For people that aren't Bitcoiners but just want a little exposure, I think a 3 to 5% allocation is a percentage that you may not be a true believer. You could lose it and you won't actually go out of business. But if you actually understand where we're going and you understand the debt crisis, and I'm a former fixed income portfolio manager, was one of the largest buyers of U.S. Treasuries, which is kind of funny given the global debt crisis. But I saw this, and as you actually understand it, it's as much as possible, I think, is the right answer for corporations, for states, for nation states like the United States, everyone.
Appreciate that. Appreciate the perspective. Thank you again for joining us, Matt. We are going to head back to the Nakamoto stage to hear from Brian Johnson. We're live from Bitcoin 2025. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this.
Live at the Bitcoin conference with Brian Johnson. Brian, how is this whole conference feel? It's like both of your worlds colliding in a way.
It is, yeah.
Listen up. We are about to create the brand new Game of Thrones game.
Oh, so the main character is obviously Jon Snow, right?
Wrong. You are the main character, a mysterious figure from a new house in the north. This time, the fight is against something even more terrifying. You'll encounter new challenges on old stories you've never seen before. Game of Thrones, King's Road.
Takeaway.
That everybody needs to get more sleep. I spend a lot of time with people like, you will make more money in Bitcoin if you make sleep your number one life priority. So my primary role of being here is to help people make health their number one life priority. There's this idea, well, I was an entrepreneur as well. Nobody had my back in saying, Brian, if you prioritize sleep, you will feel better. If you prioritize sleep, you may not be as depressed as you are. And so like, it's a really significant thing. So I want to be a positive voice in people's ear to say, make good life choices, prioritize health and wellness, and you will be a better, happier person.
I love that. Before I used to pull all-nighters, but I heard all-nighters actually make your brain dead.
Yes, it does. So bad sleep is brain damage. It really does. It's catastrophic for the body. So you want to prioritize high quality sleep. You will be a better human. You'll make more money. You'll be a better partner if you prioritize sleep.
Prioritize sleep, and there you have it. But don't go to sleep yet, because we still have more with the news desk. All right, wait.
Welcome back to the Bitcoin Magazine News Desk. As Isabella said, the last thing you want to do right now is go to sleep, because I am here with Matt Cole, CEO of Strive Asset Management. Matt, you talked a little bit before about a 3-minute pitch that you made, that a member of your team or yourself made to Mark Zuckerberg. How do you get the message across to someone like Mark Zuckerberg in 3 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, to explain Bitcoin in 3 minutes is a challenge, right? So you have to make it quick. So the first thing is, why Bitcoin? So we talk about how large of an asset class it is, because for these large companies, before, if it's $100 billion asset class, you can't allocate to that for a corporate strategy, even if you believe in it. Now it's a $2 trillion asset class, right? So enough size to actually allocate to it. We talk about the rise of M2, the debt crisis, how cash is losing its purchasing power. And inflation in and of itself is not the place to look. You actually have to look at the rise of stocks. You have to look at the rise of home prices, right? That M2 is actually driving prices up. And what is it driving the price up? Bitcoin. It's the fastest horse. It's the most hard, scarce asset as we move into this world of abundance. We lay that case out. And the second part of it is, what makes that for Facebook or whatever company unique? And so we laid out for Facebook how they're in a position of strength. Their operating business is super strong. But if they want to be the largest company in the future, I mean, they're going to have to compete with strategy, frankly, and they could do that by adopting the Bitcoin Treasury strategy.
Adopting the Bitcoin Treasury strategy, competing with MicroStrategy. This is what Matt Cole has going on at Strive Asset Management. We are about to head back to the Nakamoto stage to hear from none other than the sons of the President of the United States of America, Don Jr. and Eric Trump. We're heading over to Nakamoto. We're here at Bitcoin 2025. Over to Nakamoto. We'll be back here after this.
continue to accelerate, to do things that no one ever thought that we could do. We are creating history today and forever. Right, guys, so let's go with this incredible panel. This is titled Bitcoin as a Public Asset, The Rise of New Bitcoin. So let's get lots of energy out there. Join me in welcoming to stage our moderator, Aaron Arnold from Altcoin Daily. We have Eric Trump. Let's get a roar, everyone. We have Donald Trump Jr. We have Mike Ho from American Bitcoin. And we have Matt Prusak from American Bitcoin. Let's go. This is an incredible panel. Enjoy, everyone.
All right. Let them hear it, guys. Woo!
How are you, Las Vegas?
Take a seat, gentlemen, please. It is amazing to be on stage with these legends. Guys, promises made, promises kept. How does it feel to be building a Bitcoin company in a Bitcoin-friendly country?
Woo! Well, Las Vegas, we love you to death. We absolutely love you to death. Our family loves you. Hey, guys, we're bringing Bitcoin to America, and America is going to win the crypto revolution. That much I can tell you right now. We finally have a competent president in the White House. And we have a president who loves this industry and is behind this industry 100%. Hey guys, I'm telling you, we as a family could not be more excited about this, and amazing things to come with this group of people on stage right now.
Listen, I agree. It's amazing. I know my father made a lot of promises to the crypto community, to the Bitcoin community. When I see the growth from Nashville last year to this, you understand you're really on the precipice of something special, and that includes all those who've been in this. From our standpoint in the private sector, I mean, between Eric, myself, I think we can show our true level of commitment when you look at all of the things we're doing in this space. Obviously, you have what we're doing here with American Bitcoin from the mining side. I think you saw all the announcement yesterday. Truth Social, TMTG, committing $2.5 billion to a Bitcoin treasury. And then, you know, the trifecta of crypto, you have what we're doing with World Liberty and USD1 from a DeFi platform. And so, you know, we didn't just talk about the sound bites. We're actually executing on all of the things, and we're very long crypto. I mean, it's a huge part of everything that we do right now.
And, you know, so my name is Aaron Arnold. I've millions of followers online at Altcoin Daily. Of course, you know the Trump brothers. I want to, and guys, anytime, at any point, anybody's feel free to jump in, and we're all going to have a conversation. I want to get to know these two guys right now, the leaders of American Bitcoin, the Trump's mining company. And, you know, tell us, you guys were working in Bitcoin mining before President Trump got elected. You have been here for years, and you're here this year. How is it different this year? Is it a night and day difference?
There was a chance that we would not be sitting here today. The previous administration and their anti-crypto rhetoric, the proposed bills, the proposed 30% excise tax to miners, we wouldn't be sitting here today.
We could be an orange for Bitcoin, but it'd be an orange jumpsuit based on some of the ways they were prosecuting these things, right?
Absolutely.
Slightly different kind of orange, not exactly for me.
And on that point, now you have regulators hosting roundtables with the industry leaders, working hand in hand in charting a path forward. I'll give an example. I'll give an analogy. I'll give a metaphor. Before, if you wanted to get from point A to point B, and you knew the path was littered with landmines, but you didn't know where they were. And when you find out, it's too late. That's enforcement with lawsuits. Now imagine getting from A to B, but the regulators are there, side by side with detectors. You cross from A to B together while mapping out where the landmines are for everyone else to know how to get past safely for the next travelers. It's truly incredible to be making America the crypto capital of the world.
I could not agree more. You could feel it, Mike, right? You could just feel in the air. things have changed, right? We've obviously been through so many roller coasters, ups and downs, but every time the up is higher, right? Every time is a little bit better, and the time truly is now.
I think one of the things, I don't know, everyone didn't have the benefit of doing this. I was in yesterday and I spoke on this stage, and the vice president then had a roundtable with David Sachs, who's the crypto czar for the White House. And I got to just sit in on the room and listen. Obviously, some of the biggest leaders in the space. I'm sure you all know every person that was in the room, and you could see just in the responses, it wasn't your typical DC politician, like, here's the 4 things that someone gave me bites that I had to read off, and we checked that box. You could actually see everyone in the room just breathe a sigh of relief, because not only did the vice president, but obviously the crypto czar had such a fundamental understanding of the issues, of the space, invested in it themselves. These are people who've been in it for years and got it. That's such a big deal, where in Washington, the people who are making these rules, hey, crypto's big, it's sexy, so we're gonna put the person who has the most tenure. They don't have to know anything about the space. They're gonna make trillion-dollar decisions that they know nothing about. You could see everyone in the room was like, oh, thank God, they get it. And I think that's gonna bode very well for the community. We getting called off?
They're a violinist?
Was that bad?
Let me ask you guys this, because I've been talking to the tens of thousands of people watching the conference right now, and of course there's millions and millions watching at home, and it's very rare we get both Trump brothers to talk about crypto on the same stage. And this is something that people have been wondering. Which one of you got more into Bitcoin first?
I'd say Eric was a little bit earlier than me, actually. I got a lot of my time for the last decade has actually been focused on politics, and it's sort of nice to be like, hey, we've run our last race. Now I'm fully, out of that space and to get back into focus. I think we all sort of experienced it a little bit in that, between the two of us, I think we're the most subpoenaed people in the history of the world. I think I've done more congressional testimony than anyone, and what we learned in those processes as we were debanked, as we lost insurance, as people that we would have been able to call and they would have picked up the phone call on the first ring for decades no longer even answered. We realized how many of the traditional sort of TradFi systems were actually broken. I always likened it it was a Ponzi scheme that we were a part of that we didn't realize we were a part of. We were just so far up in the pyramid that it just sort of worked. And you realize how many people in America probably were getting screwed, whether it was because of political beliefs or things that they had done, and they didn't have those opportunities. And so this whole notion of democratizing finance, that's not going to be done in the traditional banking ways. That's going to be done in crypto.
Every single person in here got those calls, right? I mean, Don and I were getting these on behalf of commercial buildings, on behalf of hard assets. Hey, guess what? Your bank account is gone. The 600 people that you have working in the hotel that's 700 yards behind us right now that I built, you no longer have a traditional bank to bank that hotel because they don't like the fact that you're wearing a hat that's red that says, Make America Great Again. Guys, we probably would have never found crypto had it not been for the very same scumbags that were coming after all of you. I mean, how many people in here? I've heard the stories from everyone. How many people in here had Wells Fargo call them up and, you know what? I owned 1 Bitcoin, and because of that, they found out and they canceled my accounts. I mean, my accounts just stopped working. And guys, you realize how corrupt the system is. I mean, every single person this system was weaponized. Traditional finance was absolutely weaponized. And, I always say, the enemy of your enemy is often your friend. That's what happened between the Trump family and the crypto community. And I'm not sure if we would have won the same way. I think we would have won, but I'm not sure if we would have won in the same decisive manner had it not been for this incredible community that was by our side the entire time. And I hate using the word hate, but honestly, I would love to see some of the big banks go extinct, because honestly, they deserve it. And the fact that they've been allowed to get away with murder for as long as they have is honestly kind of shocking. I use this analogy all the time, but obviously I run a very big real estate company. Every Friday at 5 o'clock, we're waiting for a wire to come in. The SWIFT system is broken. Not a single person outside the crypto community has talked about this system that's so fundamentally flawed. It works 40 hours a week, barely. You have traditional banking in this country that runs 9 to 5 with an hour-and-a-half lunch break. Go try and get a mortgage on your house. It takes 120 days, of which case at the end of it, they deny you even though they've banked you forever. They say your money's safe when you deposit $1 million in a bank and they keep $100,000 of it and they go spend your money somewhere else. You go try and pull out more than $5,000 and you're on some terrorist watch list somewhere. I mean, the whole system, guys, is broken. And now all of a sudden you have crypto, which solves all the problems. It makes everything cheaper. It makes it faster. It makes it safer. It makes it more transparent. It makes the whole system more functional. And you wonder why these massive buildings that dot the skylines of every city around the world, you wonder why these buildings even exist, and the thousands of people that are pushing antiquated paper in these buildings. And guys, they're fearful of this room. They're fearful of all of us, and they better adapt, otherwise they're gonna get run over, and they're gonna get run over really, really quickly.
Let me ask the Trump brothers one more question, and the next ones I'm going to throw it to these guys over here, the American Bitcoin team. But like I said, I've been talking with everybody in the conference, and something that you revealed in Bitcoin Mina, Abu Dhabi, Eric, on your speech, is that you have known Michael Saylor, both of you, for 20 years. And he in fact helped kind of talk to you about Bitcoin and get you to realize the value prop. And now, Michael Saylor, he's always so tactful. He never likes to reveal personal conversations between him and the Trump family. Could you tell us what Michael Saylor said to you that finally got you thinking, maybe there is value here?
So Michael's been a great friend of mine. And by the way, everybody needs to give him a round of applause because he's great, truly one of the greatest. Bitcoin is so fortunate to have him. Crypto is so fortunate to have him, but he's truly one of the great spokespeople. But I've known Michael for 20 years, long before he even went down the Bitcoin route. We were friends from New York. But I was with him about a year ago. He goes, Eric, here's the play. You need to mortgage Mar-a-Lago right now. You need to take $2 billion out on Mar-a-Lago right now, and you need to go long Bitcoin. And I go, I don't know, if I mortgage my father's house right now, I'm not sure if he's, and by the way, he's a total Bitcoin maxi, but I'm not sure if he's going to be thrilled. But the amazing thing about Michael Saylor is he is truly one of the most pure, incredible people. He tells everybody, including Mike, right, including Matt, including our entire team, he goes, guys, do what I'm doing. Do what I'm doing. There's such incredible opportunity. I've never seen that in any other industry where you have the titan of the industry that's literally advocating for smart people to compete against them. And that's how much Michael Saylor loves this industry. And I think all of us owe him a tremendous debt of gratitude because what he's done for all of us is tremendous.
So we have the American Bitcoin team up here, and it's been about 2 months since the announcement of Hut 8, a Bitcoin mining company, joining up with the Trump's American data center. And explain to me what's going on, what's new since then, and what is like the business model? You're a little bit different from a normal mining company, correct? In that you're not just competing for the most hash rate ever, you're also competing for the most Bitcoin ever, kind of like a MicroStrategy.
Well, to your first question, we've been busy stacking sats. Our mandate at American Bitcoin is simple. We want to increase the Bitcoin per share for our shareholders, and we do this through a variety of ways. I think I actually mined my first Bitcoin before I had my first legal drink. I've been in the space for some time. I've seen the industry evolve. I've seen it scale. I've seen it institutionalize. We're known to be one of the most efficient, lowest cost operators. We've been doing it for a very long time. So we see Bitcoin mining as just a foundational layer of being able to accumulate more accretive Bitcoin for our shareholders at a discount to what the market can buy Bitcoin for, a significant discount. And then there's a value in the volatility of the stock. Usually volatility carries a negative connotation, but in here, it's the volatility that allows us to raise very low cost converts to even accelerate our accumulation of Bitcoin. But measure our success by increasing the Bitcoin per share for our shareholders. When you buy an ETF, it's always a ratio of 1. The value of Bitcoin will probably go up, but your ownership will always have a ratio of 1. At American Bitcoin, we're an actively managed company, and our aim, measure our success by increasing that static number year over year.
What I would say is that, to Mike's point, we are looking for ways to accumulate as much Bitcoin as fast as possible, right? So we're running lean, we're stacking sats via our mining operations, we're going to stack sites with accumulation. How do we maximize that balance sheet? How do we make sure that we're a leader in the space? How do we create data centers here in the United States? How do we use energy here in the United States? What can we do to make sure that if there's hash rate globally, we're making sure that at the end of the day, we're making sure the US stays a category leader in Bitcoin mining and in Bitcoin accumulation?
Guys, let's talk to the average American right now. I talk to millions of people every day on my channel, and what I hear a lot is, well, Bitcoin's already over 100K. I can't buy one whole Bitcoin anymore. I could buy maybe 0.1 Bitcoin or a fraction of a Bitcoin, but I don't know, it doesn't seem worth it. What would you tell to somebody that is saying, should I buy 0.1 Bitcoin? Is a fraction of 1 Bitcoin worth it?
I think without question. Listen, I think for everyone, the second you get in it, right? Even as a student of finance and whatever it may be, once you're vested, all of a sudden you're paying attention. You're in the details. You don't have to buy 100,000, at Bitcoin. Like you buy as much as you can, whatever percent you can, and once you have that vesting, you're all of a sudden committed. You're paying attention to the details, you're understanding the game a lot more, you figure it out. I mean, people have said, hey, Bitcoin's too expensive. They said it at 1,000, and they said it at 10,000, they said it at 50,000. This is a story that's pretty old right now. This has been going on for over a decade where it's too much. So, I think it's just important to get people in the game, to start understanding that, to utilize the other platforms, to be able to figure out DeFi. I think the more you do that, the more people are vested, the further away you get away from the traditional finance systems, and I think the whole community grows accordingly.
Guys, there's one other aspect about this. I mean, all of us travel all over the world. Don and I travel hundreds of thousands of miles a year. I'm telling you right now, everybody in the world wants Bitcoin. I don't care where you are. I don't care if you're, royal families. I don't care if you're the biggest, financial institutions. Everybody wants Bitcoin. Everybody is buying Bitcoin. If you go back 12 months, there were probably less than 100 companies that were treasuring Bitcoin that really had any. And now every single day it's another sovereign wealth fund. Look what GameStop just did. Look what Truth Social did. Every single day, people are allocating billions and billions of dollars to it. 0.1 Bitcoin is going to be worth an absolute fortune. And, look at the OTCs. The OTCs have the least amount of Bitcoin ever on their books, right? I mean, the arrow's going straight down as the price of Bitcoin is going straight up. I've got a dear friend. He spoke on the stage before, Simon from Metaplan, and I asked him, what's the hardest problem? And he goes, honestly, we're running out of Bitcoin. It's hard to find on the exchanges. I mean, guys, everybody wants it. No one wants to get rid of it. Everybody wants it as a balance sheet item. Every family, and this isn't America. This is the entire Middle East. This is Africa. This is all of Asia. This is Fortune 500. I mean, this is the biggest private offices. Everybody wants it. No one wants to get rid of it, and it's incredibly powerful. And I think you're going to see the value skyrocket. So don't be afraid of the integer. You don't need to buy things in whole integers. You can buy things in fractions of integers. And I think that's actually how Satoshi designed the system, to actually be designed to buy in fractions of integers. We just are so early to the game.
It was only a couple of weeks ago that marked the anniversary of the infamous pizza purchase, RIP. It wasn't that long ago that it took 10,000 Bitcoin to buy just 2 pizzas. 0.1 Bitcoin at that time would maybe equate to a crumb. 0.1 Bitcoin today is like 1,000 pizzas. Take that into perspective. 0.1 Bitcoin today, 1,000 pizzas. Tomorrow, someday in the future, a luxury car, a house, a plane. It's not about the ownership of Bitcoin. It's just the love for Bitcoin is so clearly growing and spreading across everyone. Just start accumulating. Just start accumulating one stat, 10 Satoshis, 100 Satoshis. It's never too late.
Totally agree, and that's worldwide, right? You just got to get off of zero, Mike, right? Just get off of zero. That's it. Start one Satoshi at a time, stack the stats, get off of zero.
All right, guys. You know, one of my final questions. Listen, we could talk about the intricacies of Bitcoin mining. We could talk about policy. Let's get to what you guys really want to know about, Bitcoin price outlook.
Do you know what's really fun? Making a website on Wix.
Hey, we're How Ridiculous, 3 childhood friends and digital content creators that do epic stuff from Perth, Australia.
We've got about 50 million followers. We're in the billions of views, and we're a small team. We always felt like our content was all about entertainment and being fun, but there was also this, sort of professional business side. One of the things that we knew was basically essential was getting our own website, so people would actually see a proper official group who mean business and who can deliver. And we now get unbelievable opportunities to do things like film balloon popping races with Manchester City. I don't know all the things that we're going to get to do in the next year or 5 years, but if we can do this as a job, anything's possible.
I think it clears 170,000. That's my prediction.
Don, what do you think about that, 170?
I was going to say between 175 and 150, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Well over 200,000.
Right. No, guys, I think Bitcoin's in the 6 figures, and if we do things right, it's going to 7. Got to put that out there.
And of course, none of this is financial advice. Got to hold these guys' feet to the fire to get an answer. But then besides price, like just, nothing to do with price, just as this industry is changing, and you guys are like 100% full in this industry now, and you guys have been for a while, like what are your predictions for how this industry does change, whether it has to do with, Bitcoin adoption, crypto adoption in the US specifically or around the world? What are you guys seeing?
I think you're going to have an industry that, if you look at the maturity of this conference, it's unlike any that I've been to before. This is the most mature conference that I think has been held in crypto. And if you go back even a year, right, it's very different. You have an industry that for the first time has a lot of really beautiful voices, a lot of really strong voices. You have an industry that's self-policing itself. You have an industry that's starting to focus on hospitality and user experience. You never had that before in crypto, and those were all kind of hindrances of the industry. And so the maturity of what's taking place, and by the way, the antis can no longer deny what's happening out there. I mean, every single day you had CNBC that was shitting on all of us and everything that we believed in. Now all of a sudden they're embracing it for the first time. I mean, isn't that a really beautiful thing? You had Jim Cramer going out there and saying that Bitcoin was going to go to 0 before it was going to go to 200,000, and now all of a sudden...
Inverse Cramer, baby. Inverse Cramer.
Now all of a sudden they're kind of biting their tongues. And so I think the best days of this are ahead of us. There's no question we're in the dial-up mode right now. The next 10 years are going to be absolutely parabolic. And the people that get in on the ground floors, I think, are going to make an absolute, fortune. And I think if I could quickly say, on behalf of this group, the ABTC group, it's not even just getting in at par. These guys, based on how good they buy energy, are literally mining Bitcoin at $40,000 a coin, $41,000 a coin. There's no commodity in the world. Gold, you go out and mine gold right now, you're pretty much buying, you're mining gold at par, and you're selling it using complicated options and things like that to make small little spreads. What commodity in the world can you mine at this kind of margins if you do it the right way, if you have the backbone that Hut 8 has, if you have the power grid, if you have the cheapest energy in the world, which we're doing in the United States, in the great state of Texas, which the Trump family absolutely loves. And so it's so cool. It's like, you're able to go out, physically build these buildings, physically mine, use American energy in America to grab, one of the greatest assets the universe has ever seen that's appreciating at 50 or 60% year over year, and acquire it for 30 cents, 40 cents on the dollar. To me, it's like the coolest business model ever, and I've never been more proud to be part of something than we are with these incredible guys. So had a lot of fun. Consider these guys unbelievable friends, and sky's the limits for American Bitcoin.
And then final thoughts,
We
anybody?
love you.
Thanks, Eric.
So I would say a decade ago, the crypto community we were seen as the misfits. It wasn't mainstream cool. It wasn't. But now that rhetoric is completely flipped. It's completely flipped. Now we're on par with where the sentiment of gold was 50 to 100 years ago. It was everyone's dream to own a nugget, a gold bar. Crypto has so much room to run, so much room to go. Bitcoin today is only 2 trillion. There's, I think, $400 trillion in the world across asset classes. It doesn't take very much. It doesn't take very much. It is, and I have to say, there are no two better people than the brothers on the stage here to bridge worlds. From hard assets to strategic finance, from private markets to capital markets, and to have a common tongue with so many different groups of people, from traditional finance to the crypto community and to the general public that haven't orange pilled yet. We're so excited to be on this mission with you guys.
Likewise, man. And we're excited to help, bring those people there. Like I said, I mean, relatively speaking, compared to the people in this room, we were late adapters, but we were pushed there out of necessity. We were pushed there because the conventional options were literally rugged from underneath us. And once we commit to something, though, we go all in. We are innovators. We're not just adapting this, we're adapting this out of necessity. And I think there's a lot of other people that perhaps don't have our platform or the ability to get it out there that way, that have been under those same pressures, and we're doing this for them.
It is ridiculous that Bitcoin Conference only gave us 30 minutes for this panel. We need 30 minutes per person. But guys, this was it. Give a big round of applause for Matt, Mike, Eric, and Don.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Vegas. We love you.
Let's go.
Guys, let's stand up on the front of the stage for pictures. Let's stand up here for pictures.
Thank you so much for that incredible panel. Wow, look at this crowd. This is incredible. This excitement is insane. I know 30 minutes was not enough for this incredible panel. Some super bullish predictions on this stage as well, which was incredible to listen to. And thank you so much to this incredible crowd as well. I love this excitement. It's incredible. I've got my astronaut suit. We're going to the moon, guys. We are going.
Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. That was...
I think the new type of censorship is going to be far more intelligent, and I'm already seeing a lot of signs of it.
The tide of free speech has turned, and it's unstoppable. At Rumble, creators are unfiltered, uncensored, undeniably bold. Powered by our own cloud, we are completely independent. Through the Rumble Advertising Center, we're rewarding authentic voices. This is where crypto creators and communities who value freedom and authenticity belong.
Welcome back to the Bitcoin Magazine News Desk presented by Mara. It's day one of the largest Bitcoin conference in history. You just heard a super bullish panel there with Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. talking about how Bitcoin is going to rip in price and go to the moon. The problem, they said, is that there's too much demand and not enough Bitcoin. I'll read a few quotes. Quote, the anti-Bitcoin can no longer deny what's happening. Quote, this is one of the greatest assets the world has ever seen. Here to break down everything you just saw, we're welcomed by two special guests. Dom Bay, founder of Proof of Workforce, and you know him from his panel earlier where he called on Meta. Yes, the Facebook product-owning giant. From Mark Zuckerberg, we have Matt Cole, CEO at Strive. Guys, want to bring you into the conversation here. Obviously, there is a huge amount of demand for Bitcoin. and it's happening at all levels, corporates, states, governments. It sounds like you're active at most at the state level. Dom, can you tell us a little bit about why you think this is a huge growth area for Bitcoin?
Yeah, so hey, we've seen Bitcoin now in the top 10 assets globally by market cap consistently, right? It's no longer a luxury to learn about Bitcoin. Scarcity remains one of the key cornerstones of Bitcoin. And so funds like pension funds, private wealth funds, they have to find this scarcity because it is only going to keep running out and becoming more scarce. So no matter when they find it, it's going to continue to be more scarce at whatever that time is.
Matt, let's bring you to the conversation here. Obviously, you're talking to some of the biggest CEOs in the world, trying to get them to adopt. Where do pensions fit into the story? We really haven't heard that much from pension funds. It's been talked about as a potential class of investors that could get interested. What's the latest?
Yeah, now is the time to drive corporate Bitcoin adoption, pension adoption. That's why I'm so excited for Dom to run for the board of CalPERS. I was there for 16 years before I was the CEO of Strive.
And this is one of the largest pension funds in the U.S. and the largest.
The largest.
Okay.
The largest, about $500 billion of assets under management. But like many pensions, they're underfunded. So about low 70% funded ratio. And this is after the great financial crisis. Think what's happened since 2008, 2009 to now. Equities at all-time high. Bitcoin at $100,000, yet these pensions are stuck. And we're moving into this world of abundance with AI, right? Where a world of abundance, there's going to be demand on what is scarce. Now is not the time to load up your portfolio with debt. We have a debt crisis. You actually need to look for a scarce asset, and it's Bitcoin, and that's why I'm so excited to see Dom doing what you're doing.
Yeah, Dom, I want to talk to you a little bit about just the number of options that these institutions have. We've seen pension funds adopt Bitcoin, but they're not buying and holding Bitcoin. They're usually getting exposure through another vehicle. It's historically been the ETFs, maybe an IBIT, maybe a MSTR. What's the exposure level look like there, and is there a certain path that you'd like to see the pensions go in terms of their allocation?
Yeah, me and Matt talked about this before coming on. Pension funds, don't typically hold hard assets. ETF was a groundbreaking thing that happened in January. We saw Wisconsin. We were lucky to play a small role in educating the Board of Trustees at Wisconsin. They were the first out of the gate. The ETF is the structure of choice. I would like to see pensions have some kind of in-house staff learning about custody and Bitcoin, the asset, even if just having an idea about it and still deciding to go with the ETF because they can hold it. There is a way where they can hold it without third-party risk.
Matt, quick thoughts before we go back to the main stage. You were calling Mark Zuckerberg and Meta earlier. Any response?
Yeah, so we gave it directly to Zuckerberg. So he heard us. They actually voted it down, similar to Microsoft. But it's important to note that, so before we were pushing for corporate Bitcoin adoption, we were fighting against ESG. And when we would fight against ESG, these proposals would get less than 1% support. What has happened? ESG has collapsed. And this can happen with Bitcoin as well. And so my prediction is over the next 10 years, you're going to see most companies in the S&P 500 own some Bitcoin.
Well, of course, history happening. It's day one of Bitcoin 2025 underway. We've got Blockstream CEO Adam Back, a legend in the computer science space, about to take the stage. Stay tuned across YouTube, Rumble, and X. Announcements are happening live.
Hello. Hello, Bitcoiners. So I think Bitcoin is still early, but more mainstream players are starting to become involved. It's becoming the foundation of global finance. So at Blockstream, we spent the last decade building the infrastructure around Bitcoin, protocols, hardware wallets, custody, layer 2s, and our mission has remained the same throughout. Bring Bitcoin to the world with self-sovereignty, security, and scale as we go from 100 million users to 1 billion users. Today, we're taking the next step. We're announcing a new chapter for Blockstream organized around 3 core business units, Blockstream Consumer, Blockstream Enterprise, and Blockstream Asset Management to provide services to different new sectors, the new people that are coming into Bitcoin. And I think one very interesting thing about Bitcoin is that the social layer appears to be scaling extremely well, which is to say that if you look back a few years ago, people would have wondered how will businesses become involved, governments and politicians, and will it dilute the ethos? But actually what seems to have happened is the opposite, which is that people in all layers of company management, politics, themselves have become orange-pilled. So you see phenomena like El Salvador, where the president was actually patient zero, bringing Bitcoin into the country. So we think Bitcoin is becoming the dominant financial asset. In 2009, one day after the Bitcoin network launched, a friend of mine, Hal Finney, made the projection that Bitcoin's addressable market, the monetary premium in assets globally, was $200 trillion. So today we are a lot closer to that situation. And as I say, it's still early for Bitcoin, but the beginnings of institutional investment, of enterprise use, of companies adopting Bitcoin as a treasury asset are coming into play. And at Blockstream, we're here to provide the infrastructure to enable that. So for consumers, we are simplifying self-custody and asset management, but keeping the power user features. For businesses, we're enabling asset issuance and transfers over Bitcoin-backed infrastructure. So if you think about Bitcoin as the internet for money and internet for assets generally, it's an open fabric for financial use cases. And for investors, institutional investors initially, we're providing access to Bitcoin-focused funds and institutional-grade custody with Blockstream Asset Management. So today we're going to talk through some key parts of it. With Blockstream Consumer, our commitment is to the individual Bitcoiner and their self-sovereignty, not your keys, not your coins. So over the last decade, we've built many of the tools that make self-custody real. We're involved in the protocol level in all kinds of things, like the seed phrase standards, miniscript, PSBT. So all of those things are generally getting wider and wider adopted throughout the Bitcoin ecosystem. And we have our own building blocks within that interoperate with other Bitcoin providers. So with Jade and Green and Liquid, we're converging many of these things to work for the consumer, the enterprise, and in the longer term for financial institutions. So we're announcing today rebranding the Blockstream Green app as simply Blockstream, which will keep the ease of use, improve the onboarding, and enable more actions within the application to buy Bitcoin, stack regularly safe Bitcoin, and enable stablecoins and other use cases in there too. Blockstream Enterprise turns Bitcoin into infrastructure also. So with Liquid, powering next generation of financial markets, you can already see actually 3.3 billion of real-world assets. I think in terms of real-world assets, like assets that people are actively investing in, trading with, or acting as the settlement layer or the digital certificate or digital share certificate for different use cases globally. These are real uses with real organic demand, so there's no kind of wrapping of assets that are still in the same user's ownership. And we're bringing enterprise custody solutions to market as well to help with treasuries, asset managers, sovereign wealth funds, backed by robust APIs like FIX and SDA integrations. At Blockstream, we take a Bitcoin-first approach. Everything we build is designed to work with Bitcoin natively without adding complexity or unnecessary dependencies. Our focus is robustness, building infrastructure that lasts. It's a long time preference. You can see that we've been in market for 10 years with a singular laser focus on Bitcoin. And we're creating a complete ecosystem so that every product connects, every layer reinforces the next, so that users, businesses, and investors can operate seamlessly on Bitcoin without fragmented solutions. If you are interested to learn more about what we've covered today, from the application architecture, enterprise custody, asset issuance, and even asset management, we're here to talk you through it. Our team is on site, including product leads, engineers, R&D team members, and indeed people from our new asset management division. So we're available to answer questions, run demos, and discuss use case. You can find us in the Expo booth 2121. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you so much, Adam. That was awesome. Wow, guys, there is so many of you out there. This is such an incredible day in Vegas. I love this energy, front row. This is why you're in the front row, because you're excited to be here. You're enjoying it. We are celebrating.
You just heard a special presentation from Dr. Adam Back. Welcome to the Bitcoin Magazine News Desk presented by Mara. Day one rolls on, but still so much more to come. You've seen GameStop buy Bitcoin. You've seen New York City announce the first ever BitBond, and you've seen Pakistan launch a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Here to break it down, we've got another all-star panel. To my left, American Hodl. To his left, we have Aaron from Altcoin Daily, and to his left, Austin from Altcoin Daily. So we're going to bring the conversation back to what we were talking about before the cameras were rolling. How much Bitcoin is enough at the present moment? Talked about on stage in the fireside with Eric and Donald Trump. American Hodl, over to you. You were famous for the meme 6.1525, allocate, reach that stacking goal. What is the new stacking goal that you think people out there should achieve?
Yeah, so I mean, when I first came into Bitcoin, the stacking goal was 21 Bitcoin, which is, you know, $2.2 million, something like that right now. So I mean, that's very unreasonable for the average person. And so we lowered it, or I lowered it to 6.15 became the default stacking goal for, 3 or 4 years there during an epoch. And I think every epoch has its own stacking goal. And I think right now the stacking goal is something still like 1 Bitcoin, because very shortly 1 Bitcoin is going to run away from you and you're not going to be able to get your hands on. Now, again, still, like, that's 6 figures, right? Like, that's a large amount of money for the average person. But I do think that the more we go on and the more Bitcoin becomes de-risked, the larger the goal gets in terms of fiat monetary value.
Some more analysis to come. We're going to throw it over to the main stage for a special announcement breaking right now. MasterCard is on stage. We'll be right back.
How does the card play in your wider product ecosystem?
Yeah. The Bitcoin credit card was really built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. It's a great way to invest.
Remember when you had to tell the IT guy your password was Mr. Steal Yo Girl?
Goldfish have short memories. Be like Goldfish.
Way to not have to sell your Bitcoin. You just continue to earn Bitcoin. You don't have to track the price. So it's super simple to earn Bitcoin through the credit card. And we also are really excited because it provides an opportunity for people who are new into crypto to start earning Bitcoin. A lot of people don't necessarily want to trade or pay attention as much to the prices. We're all glued to the prices, but a lot of people aren't necessarily quite as glued to the Bitcoin price. And so this is really a great way to bring more people into the ecosystem because you can just passively earn Bitcoin through everyday spending.
And I really saw you out there in the front line giving out T-shirts, engaging with customers. And what's the feedback? Because we see a lot of crypto cards out there, right? Some let you spend crypto, and for those that want, I think that's very fair. That's utility. But what do your users say? What's the feedback you get from the crowd?
Yeah, the feedback has been really positive overall, and we've loved to see people posting their rewards on X. So if you do have the card and you want to share your rewards over time, we love to see it. And there's a stat, I think it's 176% growth in rewards over the last year of people who have earned Bitcoin back on their credit card. So really impressive growth over time, and we have had really positive feedback so far. And you know, if anybody gets the card, you can go to Gemini.com/card and let us know what you think.
Very cool. And I understand I don't have to be an existing customer to get the card, right?
Yes, you can sign up for Gemini and apply for the card right away. And it's a MasterCard product, so we're really grateful to have MasterCard as a partner in this, and WebBank as well. And you know, MasterCard has been doing a ton in crypto and in Bitcoin, so we're grateful to have you guys as partners.
Thank you so much, Olivier, for telling us about the new card. And to all you that don't have a Gemini card yet, or the card, just walk over there, follow the orange, follow the Cybertrucks, and thanks for the partnership. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Olivia and Christian. Wow, guys, we keep the news coming to you. So many amazing announcements, so many incredible keynotes, panels. It has been absolutely insane. And we're here in Vegas. So you guys can party tonight as well. Let all that energy out. And then we have one last day tomorrow with even more insane speakers. So for our next amazing keynote, I have to say I got to chat to this gentleman earlier, and it really was an honor because he was one of the reasons why I got into this space when I read his amazing book. So this is titled Bitcoin and Tether, Drinking the Dollar Milkshake. So guys, let's get a very, very warm welcome for Safedine Amos, the CEO. Safedine, come and take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming out, and thank you to the organizers for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Today, I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin and the dollar, in particular about Tether. And a lot of people think that Tether is going to be something that is very bullish to the dollar. And you know, to be fair, they found a whole new generation of bag holders around the world to buy the treasury shitcoin. So you would think that that would generally be bullish. But I'd like to take a closer look at it and see how bullish it actually is. So let us run some numbers. Let's assume, as a thought experiment, let's assume that Tether grows 100-fold over the next 10 years. That's a compound annual growth rate of 60% per year. So it gets to about a $12 trillion market cap by 2035. And now assume that they continue to put about 80% of their treasury and their backing of their notes into all maturities of US bonds. Currently, they're only buying short maturities, but assume they start buying across the curve, across the yield curve. And to try and estimate the impact that this would have on the budget, I've looked at the literature on the impact of purchases of bonds on the yields. So there's a lot of studies that have been done on what was the impact of QE, you know, when, say, if you buy 10% of the debt and you put it into what the impact would be on yields. So I think generally the literature says every 10% of the debt, if you buy 10% of the debt, you can bring yields down by 0.2 to 0.5%. But I'm going to assume 1%. I'm going to just have a maximum, most optimistic scenario in all of our assumptions here to try and see how this would work out. So you buy 10% of the debt and you bring the yield down by 1%. So if we assume this is the case, and then we project the impact